Hi, we are live from the Scratch office in sunny downtown Boston. Welcome, everyone. So that this experience can be the best for you, select either English, Spanish, or Portuguese audio language using the feature on the top left of your video player. Bienvenidos todos para que esta experiencia sea la mejor para usted. Seleccione el idioma.
Welcome to the experience. You can choose whether English, Spanish, or Portuguese.
Estamos ao vivo, direto do escritório da Fundação Scratch em Boston. E para que essa experiência seja incrível para você, selecione o idioma no qual você gostaria de ouvir a transmissão. Essa opção está disponível no topo da tela à esquerda.
If you're watching the recording, you can also switch your language to Italian, French, Japanese, Arabic, and Hindi. So let's get started. I am Francisco Cervantes, Director of Creative Learning with the Scratch Foundation. I was born in Mexico City, originally from the West Coast, and also worked with the Scratch team in the past as a researcher. I'm honored to serve as your co-MC for the Scratch Conference 2022. But first, I'm a huge fan of the Brazilian Creative Learning Network. The network represents a wide range of after-school programs, community centers, hubs, huge and small school districts. The focus on creative learning is front and center, either with the Scratch or video cameras or use of hands-on materials. Everybody on my team knows that I'm inspired by BCLN's initiatives, and I'm so excited to co-MC today's event with you, Carolina from BCLN.
Yay! Bom dia, pessoal. Meu nome é Carolina. Oh, first, thank you, Francisco, for such a lovely introduction to the network and myself. So I'm going to say in Portuguese, bom dia, meu nome é Carolina, ou Carol, e eu sou coordenadora pedagógica da Rede Brasileira de Aprendizagem Criativa, mas também parte dessa família global que é o Scratch. Good morning, good afternoon to some of you, and also good evening, everyone. My name is Carolina, and I'm from Brazil, where I lead the pedagogical team at the Creative Learning Network. I consider myself a big fan of Scratch, and as all of you, part of the global Scratch family. So I'm really honored to welcome everyone to the Scratch conference this year. Educators, designers, families, and many other Scratchers, more than 3,000 people registered for the conference this year. So we welcome you with all of our hearts. We invite everyone to make good use of the swap card chat space. So how about getting started sharing where you're joining from, like some of you already have been doing?
Yeah, let us know. I see you, Ankit and Sarah from CUNY. I see you, Lula and Vito from Mexico and Colombia. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, wherever you are, whoever you are, however you can. A little bit about today's conference. The 2022 Scratch Conference is organized by the Scratch Foundation and Scratch Family, which includes more than 100 speakers from around the world. Thank you to all the speakers for your time, your energy, your thoughtfulness, your patience, and your commitment to creative learning. Special shout out to J.C. Edelman for being our fearless leader for this conference at the Scratch Foundation.
So this year's theme is inviting all of us to create. Well, what will you create? Sorry, this phrase is pretty hard for me to speak in English, but yes, what will you create? Scratch does not exist without your creativity and the creativity of the kids and everyone that we have been exploring it with. So there's many stories about how Scratch has been explored in different communities, culture, and contexts.
Yeah, and the Scratch Foundation is curious on how you have been exploring Scratch with creative learning beyond technology and tools, which is why we invited such inspiring speakers to join us today and share. This conference is an opportunity to connect with people globally and to live the creative learning experience.
Which is why we are really excited to invite all of you to imagine, create, and share today. So to have this as a great experience, feel very welcome to join us on your own way. So if you're not able to stay for the whole time during a session, don't skip it. I mean, you can, participate as much as you can.
We also invite you to gather people around you to participate. The goal is to explore something new and reflect on your use of Scratch as a tool and creative learning as a philosophy. To do so, we prepared 2 social sessions and 4 rounds of Create and Connect sessions. Each session includes an opportunity for you to meet or play with peers, discuss Scratch projects around your passions, and hopefully learn something new, perhaps about yourself.
Now we're going to pass it to the Scratch Foundation's Executive Director, Shauna Young. Welcome, Shauna.
Hi, Carolina and Francisco. Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. Everyone, my name is Shauna Young. I'm the Executive Director of the Scratch Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us today for our second virtual Scratch conference. We are extremely excited to be live with you here today and over 3,000 educators from around the world. If this is your first Scratch conference, welcome. The Scratch Conference actually started years ago as an opportunity for educators to come and engage with our founder, Mitch Resnick, who you'll hear from soon, and his research lab at MIT, also known as the Lifelong Kindergarten Group, and our remarkable communities of educators around the world that use Scratch in their classrooms and informal learning environments. For me, this feels like coming home. I was a science teacher in North Carolina for many years and always enjoyed and loved being in the comfort of our education and teaching community. As a former teacher, I also know how important this summer is to rejuvenate, relax, and recharge and get ready for the coming school year for many of us. So thank you so much for making time today in your summertime for some to learn, create, and share with all of us. The Scratch Conference provides all of us an amazing opportunity to connect with and learn from fellow Scratch educators and creators from around the world. I know firsthand how important it is to find community and learn from fellow practitioners and researchers who can expand our worldview and guide us in ways that we can help our students and children continue to thrive. We hope that this year's Scratch Conference will inspire you to take a new approach or spark a new idea that you can take back to your classroom or your learning environment, wherever it is. We also hope that you get a chance to connect with and learn from people from around the world at Scratch Day during our conference. Many of you know we're actually celebrating our 15th anniversary. It's been 15 incredible years filled with creativity, compassion, and learning, and we are just getting started. As you know, our mission is to provide young people with digital tools and opportunities to imagine, create, share, and learn. Some of you have been with us from the very beginning, and it's so awesome to see you here today. For many of you, today is your first engagement with Scratch as part of the Scratch Conference, and we're so excited to be with you here as you start your journey with us in creative learning and creative coding. A few highlights some of you may know is that since our beginning, over 100 million projects have been created and shared by Scratchers, and we have over 93 million accounts in Scratch and ScratchJr. We are so honored to be part of your classrooms, your clubs, your camps, wherever you use Scratch. Thank you for supporting us, sharing the unique and inspiring ways that you use Scratch for over the years. As I shared, Scratch was started at the MIT Media Lab Lifelong Kindergarten Group. Our co-founders, Mitch Resnick and Natalie Russ, were pioneers in developing ways for children to express their ideas and thoughts through creative coding. Their creativity, compassion, and belief in the boundless creativity of young people is inspiring and starting an amazing creative learning movement. We truly call and believe what we are doing is an educational movement. And we are so proud at the Scratch Foundation to continue the work that they started over 15 years ago. From lively studios and our online community, to young people lifting their voices to raise awareness about issues that we all care about, to classrooms and clubs around the world that use Scratch and ScratchJr to bring creative coding to local communities. As I said before, Scratch has become so much more than a platform. Thanks to all of you, Scratch has become a critical educational movement focused on creative learning, expression of ideas, diversity, and equity. Now more than ever, our creative coding movement is needed. I'd like to share a quick story of a Scratcher who was actually a youth speaker at the Lego Idea Conference this spring. I was so inspired by her sharing that for her, unfortunately, learning many times in her classrooms has to be serious, and that it's consumed with a blackboard and very learning that's focused not on creativity, focused on rote learning. And she asked us as educational leaders and educators to change the way in which kids learn around the world. She actually gave us a charge, a call to action, and said that the way in which she's experienced play and creativity is something that she wants to see happen throughout the learning experience of kids around the world. And she charged us with that. As educators, you're here at the Scratch Foundation, at the Scratch Conference, because you already know the importance of creative learning. And it's a key for children to unlock their passion and build the critical skills to help them thrive. Your passion, advocacy, and commitment to creative learning movement is making a difference, not just in your classroom, but around the world. Thank you for being a part of our remarkable Scratch community. Now, as we look to the future, I'm so happy to share that we are developing new technologies, tools, features, content that will continue to pique our Scratchers' curiosity and creativity. We are continuing to build our global community of partnerships with organizations that are aligned with our goals when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, like the Brazilian Creative Learning Network. The future of Scratch Foundation is bright and is guided by our relationships with all of you. Thank you so much. Now I would like to offer sincere thanks to EPAM, our signature and long-term sponsor of the Scratch Conference. Because of their support, we were able to offer this conference free of charge to everyone. Thank you so much for your remarkable support, EPAM. And everyone, have an amazing day. Have fun and learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Scratch team, for putting together an incredible agenda for this year's Scratch Conference. It is my privilege also to come forward as a co-sponsor of Scratch Conference, and it would be our 6th consecutive year to be part of this incredible event. Scratch is no stranger to EPAM. Scratch was the foundation and the whole reason why we were, as a company, able to launch our signature program, which is EPAM eKids. Today, EPAM eKids is across 19 countries, and it has helped us bring together our community and our children across seamlessly across oceans and across many locations as one. I would also like to share some of the testaments by our children that have used the Scratch tool and learned how to code across several of our locations.
I learned Scratch at EPAM's eKids program, where volunteer trainers explained us how to use it. Coding Scratch is very easy and funny. I use Scratch to make many different puzzles.
First of all, I thought Scratch was very hard, and it takes a lot of time to learn Scratch program. After I learned the Scratch program, it is very easy to create games, slides, etc. So this is very useful for our juniors to learn how to do Scratch coding.
A Scratch programmal nagyon jól lehet játékokat programozni, meg beszélgetéseket utánozni.
Я навчилася створювати різні ігри. Я тепер знаю, що таке спрайт, я знаю, як змінювати тло.
意味着能发挥想象力，做这种这样子有趣的东西。
Scratch is a dream come true that you can draw and bring to life, write beautiful music, watch it, and play with it.
In Scratch, we learn many things like coding, creating slides, and creating games. So I'm very much thankful to EPAM team for introducing Scratch.
I became friends with many teenagers from other countries, and we share our ideas.
In Scratch, you can find good friends all over the world. It's one big family.
我发现原来编程能做出这种这样的东西。
Wishing you all the very best for this year's conference. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Eric Rosenbaum, a product manager here at Scratch. Excited to share a little bit about what's new with Scratch and ScratchJr.
And hi, I'm Chris Garrity, also a product manager here at Scratch. And like Eric, I'm really excited to be sharing some stuff that's new with Scratch and ScratchJr. Welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
All right. I'll just share my slides. Cool. Yeah. Just a glimpse of what's new. So in the Scratch community, after you've joined and participated for a few weeks, we invite you to change from being a new Scratcher to becoming a Scratcher. That's been true for a long time, but recently we updated what you see when we invite you. The community guidelines are a really important part of our online community, and so we have new content and illustrations that you see when you're invited to become a Scratcher to encourage you to be respectful and keep the community safe and friendly for everyone. And of course, when you accept the invitation, we give you some confetti. So that's one little new thing that we did this year. This is some work that is ongoing and experimental. So it's work in progress on improving the accessibility of Scratch. We are looking at new colors for the blocks to make the text easier to read for everyone. And so that involves increasing the contrast in the colors. So like I said, work in progress, but we're very excited about making Scratch more accessible for all. And I just wanted to give a teaser for something coming up soon. Every summer we do Scratch Camp in the online community. It's a series of activities that our wonderful creative learning team leads with prompts, themes, challenges, and there's something new every year, and the explosion of creativity from kids around the world interpreting our themes in ways we never imagined and collaborating and remixing each other's projects is always so exciting to see. So that's coming in August, and stay tuned for updates on Scratch Camp. Now I'll pass to Chris G.
Thanks, Eric. I'm so excited to see what people create for Scratch Camp this year. So anyway, I'm going to talk about ScratchJr. We've also been working on some new things there. One of the things we've done is add more people to the character library, representing a variety of different people from different backgrounds. This is a good start, and we're continuing to look at ways to expand the library to include more diverse people and cultures. We've also expanded the skin tones in the paint editor. This makes it easier for a child to create projects with people that represent themselves or their family and friends. We're also continuing to add languages to ScratchJr, and now we're up to 22 languages. This year, we added Korean and Ukrainian with help from our volunteers around the world. I'm also excited to let you know about some new things that we're working on for next year. We're developing a new version of ScratchJr that will run on the web. Currently, ScratchJr is only available on mobile devices, iPads, tablets, and Chromebooks. Having a version on the web will make it accessible to many more people, and it's something that we've wanted to do for a very long time. We're also working on accessibility in other ways. The new version of ScratchJr will meet web accessibility guidelines, and that means that children with low vision and other special needs will be able to use ScratchJr more easily. Finally, while ScratchJr doesn't have a community of young Scratchers, we have launched ScratchJr Connect for parents and educators. On ScratchJr Connect, you can share resources, showcase projects by your children and students. Like ScratchJr, ScratchJr Connect is a collaboration between Scratch and the DevTech Research Group. It's already available, and I encourage you to check it out. So that's just a short update of what's new with Scratch and Scratch Jr. And now I'm really happy to introduce Marina Bears to talk about more about her work with Scratch Jr.
Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be here sharing with you this wonderful Scratch conference virtually all over the world. I am Marina Umasti Bears, and I'm a professor. I direct the DevTech Research Group. We've been working from the very, very beginning in Scratch Jr. together with Mitch Resnick and the Pico company early on. And in 2014, we were able to launch Scratch Jr. And Scratch Jr. is designed for little kids, for 4 to 7-year-olds, for children who are just learning how to read and write, and for children that as they develop traditional literacies, they want to develop the new literacies of the 21st century. That is, learning to code, but learning to code with a playful, creative approach. Our mission with Scratch Jr. is to bring coding all over the world as a playground, not as a playpen. That means in an open-ended way where children can create, they can imagine, they can get together with other kids, create projects together, take this project outside, not necessarily everything in front of a screen, come back, record sounds, play with images, and use as much as they can of their imagination. We invite you to play with it, to learn with it, to explore it. You can create your own characters, your own animations. It's simple because it's designed for little kids. But at the same time, as you are using your imagination to create projects with Scratch Jr., you are developing computational thinking, you are learning how to think abstractly, you are working with sequence. And in Scratch Jr., what we really care about is for children to have a good time, just like in the playground, where they come, they play, they are with others, they don't want to leave. That's what we hope Scratch Jr. will be, a place to come together and to explore and to imagine. We also have lots of curriculum available, so I invite you to visit Scratch Jr. Connect and also the curriculum available in the DevTech Research Group. We're particularly proud of our Coding as Another Language curriculum that brings literacy and coding together. And as children start to grow and to master Scratch Jr. and they become a little bit older, they're ready to go into Scratch. So I really, really encourage you to go visit a session at this conference, which is called Co-Creating Pathways from Scratch Jr. to Scratch. So you can start exploring how do we help children transition from Scratch Jr. to Scratch. The philosophy is the same. We learn by doing, we learn by playing, we learn by imagining. And now, since we're transitioning from Scratch Jr. to Scratch, let me introduce you to Mitch Resnick, good friend and colleague, who will share with you lots of updates have been happening at the Lifelong Kindergarten Group at MIT. Have fun. See you soon.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be gathering with all of you today. I've always loved the Scratch Conference because it's such a wonderful opportunity to learn about all the creative ways that educators around the world, are using Scratch. Ever since we launched Scratch 15 years ago, I've been continually amazed and delighted at how educators like you have been supporting young people in creating, sharing, and learning with Scratch. And that's really what makes Scratch so special. So as we kick off today's conference, I thought I'd share a story about a wonderful educator that I met earlier this year and who really opened my mind to some new ways to see about supporting a creative and caring and collaborative approach to learning with Scratch. My story starts about 4 months ago on March 7th, when I received an email message from a Ukrainian educator named Alicia Vlasy. And Alicia's message came just 10 days after Russia had invaded her country of Ukraine. And she was writing to me asking for some help. She wanted to explore how she could use Scratch to create what she called waves of kindness to counter the hatred and aggression that she was seeing in Ukraine and around the world. Following up on that email message, I had several Zoom calls with Alicia, oftentimes with air raid sirens blaring in the background. And based on those conversations, the Scratch team put together an online studio called Spreading Kindness. In fact, I have a button that was made based on that studio. And within days that studio showed up, the studio was filled with thousands of projects from young people around the world who were sharing their ideas on how to spread kindness and expressing their support for people who are going through difficult times, many of them expressing support for the people of Ukraine. Now, of course, those projects in the studio are not going to stop the war in Ukraine or halt the spread of aggression and authoritarianism around the world. But each of those projects can create a tiny ripple of kindness that, added together, can create waves of kindness that over time can create a culture of kindness. And that's something that the world really desperately needs today. So I'd like to share with you, about a few weeks ago, I had a Zoom conversation with Alicia. So I'd like to share with you a video of Alicia talking about her experience with Scratch and the importance of waves of kindness. It's great to see you again, Alicia.
Glad to see you too, Mitch.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed our conversations over the last couple months. I wonder if you could just share with me a little bit about your experiences with Scratch over the years.
Scratch is a big part of my life. From the moment of its appearance till now, I love to do everything with Scratch. Create projects, teach students, collaborate with others to investigate new ways of teaching with Scratch. 15 years ago, I taught my students who were future primary school teachers what Scratch is and how to create projects on it. We have organized a number of different events for children and educators. Trainings, courses, competitions, marathons, and others. And now, in the digital era, I want to highlight that Scratch is a great tool for supporting one another and for spreading kindness to make the world around us a bit better. I think Scratch can help us to generate waves of kindness.
Yeah, I know. It really touched my heart a few months ago when you wrote to me and you asked about how we might use Scratch to support waves of kindness. Maybe you can explain a little bit more about what you mean when you say waves of kindness.
Each human is able to generate ripples of kindness. We can start small. Of course, each teeny ripple of kindness will have a small local impact. But altogether, over the time, they can generate a wave of kindness, a culture of kindness that can help change the ways people think about the world and interact one with another.
It'd be great to hear, why is it that you feel that waves of kindness are so important today?
Kindness is always very important, certainly. But I think that it is more important now than ever before. The idea of creating the largest wave of kindness followed from the hard situation about the war in my native country, Ukraine. Kind people around the world show unity in supporting the Ukrainians fighting the terrible Russia's invasion. The situation led to renewed kindness. Therefore, let's find more ways to support everyone in developing as kind, curious, caring, and creative human beings, so that then they can create a wave of kindness, a culture of kindness.
Yeah, I know my heart really goes out to you and everyone in Ukraine, with facing all of these challenges. And I think it was so inspiring for me to hear about your efforts and about supporting, kindness. And I know it touched hearts of many other people around the world as these ideas were spread through Scratch and through other channels and other platforms. It's really captured the attention of many people. Maybe you can share a little bit about, how you felt about the reaction to your call for a wave of kindness and the way that people around the world have responded.
My friend Olena, with her family, had to leave their home escaping the war. I wanted to support her, and I wrote a poem about a paper house. So I translated my poem to English and posted it in the LCL community. That led to the chain of very kind feedback. Carmelo translated the poem to his native language and recorded a podcast in Italian. Jenny from Great Britain took a creative photo with a real paper house made by a special way. Inspired by it, Francisco from Spain wrote and recorded his song in Spanish. Wanting to collect all these ripples of kindness, Jenny created a Scratch project about the paper house. I showed this project to my students. Inspired by this Scratch project, my students created their own Scratch projects. Hundreds of Scratch projects were added to the Spreading Kindness Studio created by the Scratch team. After that, we have organized an online marathons called the Wave of Kindness. For everyone, for Ukrainians, for Ukrainian children and educators, to support them and to show how we can use Scratch for spreading kindness and stay safe. The Scratch project united so different peoples from so different parts of world. I think it is a great example about the spreading kindness. So let's make the story continue.
Yeah, that's a wonderful story of spreading kindness through the waves of kindness. I mean, as you look ahead, what are your hopes about the future for waves of kindness?
My dreams are at first organize online or maybe offline summer camps for Ukrainian children's. Another dream to organize a conference for educators and for scientists about about kindness as a base of the future education. I understand that there are so many challenges on the way to do that, all of that, to realize all of these plans. But let dreams come true and let the future be kind.
I loved getting to know Alicia over the last few months. I really feel that her ideas and her work are so strongly aligned with the values and the goals of Scratch. For me, I think the two most important values of Scratch are creativity and kindness. We've often talked about how Scratch expands creative learning opportunities and makes it possible for people to express themselves creatively and develop as creative thinkers, which is so important in today's world. But Alicia reminds us that kindness is just as important as creativity. The Scratch team has put so much effort into making sure that Scratch is a safe, friendly, welcoming, caring, and kind community where people not only create projects, but also support and encourage and inspire and learn from one another. I hope all of us here at the Scratch Conference can commit to creating tiny ripples of kindness in our own work. And together as a community, we can create waves of kindness that really can make a difference. I look forward to working together with all of you for making that happen. With that, I'll turn it back to our MCs, Carolina and Francisco.
Thank you,
Thank
Mitch.
you, Mitch.
Anyone can make a project with Scratch, but to also think about how your project, comments, and ideas make someone else feel is as important and powerful. As a reminder, here in Swapcard, we have links to two awesome Scratch studios, Spreading Kindness, and What Does Scratch Mean to You? We invite you to explore projects, post a comment with kindness, love a project, or even remix an idea that inspires you. Shout out to CB and Ashley, who are always thinking about young people's experience in the online community and inspiring me to share the joy and delight inside myself. From Scratch Lab's color contrast, skin tones, and Scratch Jr. to the Spreading Kindness campaign, these are all very inspiring examples of what we can create together. Thank you to EPAM for recognizing that as well.
Up next, we will hear from Tracy Tang about our community of translators. We will also hear from two Scratch Foundation managers who lead our online community team, Kristen and Ryan. While the Scratch editor lowered the floor for creative coding, the online community helped expand the walls for Scratchers to explore their passions with peers through play. But first,
I am delighted to introduce Elaine Atherton, an amazing leader at the Scratch Foundation who leads the Scratch Education Collaborative, which is not just an initiative or a program, but rather a force of nature. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, Francisco. Hi, Carolina, and thank you for that great introduction. I'm so excited today. I love this year's theme. What will you create? The Scratch Education Collaborative is a 2-year cohort initiative that engages organizations from around the world in learning more about creative coding and engaging in collaboration and co-design with other like-minded organizations. Our vision is really simple but powerful. How can we support organizations who serve marginalized and historically excluded communities as they work together to overcome barriers to engagement with Scratch and creative coding? As a part of our program, participants have come together to create a really diverse community that's able to take what they learn and co-design in our program back into their local communities to continue to amplify and scale Scratch. We started with 40 organizations from 13 different countries, from Texas in the United States to Australia to Spain to Nova Scotia. Our first cohort of participants are doing incredible work with hundreds of thousands of students and thousands of educators around the world. Next week, we actually will welcome 91 additional organizations and schools. We've now expanded to over 25 countries and 50 unique locations around the world through our outreach efforts. These new locations include New Zealand, Chile, Brazil, Ukraine, as well as additional cities in the United States, like Memphis, Tennessee, San Diego, California, and Phoenix, Arizona. I see Francisco. I shout out to Francisco, who's from San Diego. I'm so proud of what we've created. When I really think about the possibilities, they're endless. And I cannot wait to see what our SEC participants continue to imagine, create, and share with the world and their local communities. Now I'm going to pass it over to CB and Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm one of the community moderation managers on the Scratch team.
And I'm Kristen, the community engagement manager for the Scratch team. Today, we're going to be talking to you about Scratch Studios, collaboration, and inspiring stories of Scratchers in the online community.
Collaboration is a cornerstone of the Scratch community. We foster collaboration on Scratch through studios. Studios are spaces on Scratch where Scratchers can come together and create projects around a common interest and theme. Like when quarantine started and kids created this studio to generate ideas for various sports or movement exercises that can be done at home or in isolation. Or topics around food. Food is often used as a theme to share something important from Scratchers' family and culture. Studios can also be about issues important to them and often can be a reflection of what is going on in the world, like this one called Save the Earth. In addition to the many studios we see created by Scratchers every single day on Scratch, we also host a number of our own studios throughout the year around various ideas, special events, holidays, and more, like Pi Day, Black History Month, and Scratch Camp. These studios are a great way for us to help model and encourage positive digital citizenship, while also inviting Scratchers in the community to join us in creating projects around a particular theme.
One example of a studio we recently hosted in the community was called What Does Scratch Mean to You? The studio was created in anticipation of our 15th anniversary, and it was an open invitation for Scratchers to reflect back on their time imagining, programming, and sharing with Scratch in the online community. And the response we got to the studio was absolutely overwhelming, but in the best possible way. Scratchers made projects about all sorts of things and shared so many amazing stories with us. Let's take a look at a few.
What Scratch means to me is a place I can have fun with coding and see my creations come to life and be myself with my creations and not be judged by it, by what I like. It's a place to escape the world with this kind community.
What Scratch means to me is fun, a place to share ideas and give ideas.
Scratch means the entire world to me. Ever since I first joined the site, I've been in love with it. I'd come home from school every day excited to get on Scratch and talk with all my friends. It's been a great journey here. I love you, Scratch. You will always be a big part of my childhood.
In addition to all the incredible projects, one thing I really love about studios like this is that it provides opportunities for us to collaborate directly with Scratchers, as well as provides leadership opportunities for young people in the community. And we see this in a lot of ways through the curators who help us run these spaces. The curators in these studios are all volunteers who help us respond to the comments and add projects to the studio. But more than that, they act as a resource to others in the community who are participating in that space. I am constantly inspired by how kind they are in their interactions and in their comments and the constructive feedback on the projects others are making for the studio. So a huge thank you to all the curators from around the world who have helped make our studios possible. Another really cool thing that we often see around studios like this is that Scratchers are really eager to help make the studio more accessible to others by helping to translate the studio description into different languages. In this particular studio, we saw 23 different translations, all made by volunteer Scratchers from around the world. I don't know about you, Ryan, but I always find it really incredible and super inspiring to see things such as this in our community.
It really is inspiring, CB. There are thousands and thousands of inspiring studios. Let's talk about one. The Autism Acceptance Studio created by Pink's Monkey encourages others to use art and storytelling to share their stories, while creating a safe community for folks to discuss their authentic selves and share questions through a Q&A format in the comments section. The studio is also aimed at educating others and dispelling misconceptions around autism. Let's hear directly from the creator of this awesome studio, Pink's Monkey.
The Autism Acceptance Studio is a place where everyone is welcome to discuss autism-related topics, come together and stand up against ableism, make projects about autism, and ask any questions they may have about autism, autistic traits, or commonly co-occurring conditions like ADHD, anxiety, and sensory processing differences. Anyone is welcome to join, whether they're autistic or not, because it's an opportunity to learn more. I really just wanted to make it to help teach people about autism. So when I made it, I had been recently diagnosed and started to really get into online autistic communities. So I felt like I finally understood who I was, and it explained like everything about my life. So learning so much about autism before and after my diagnosis led to becoming one of my biggest special interests currently. And I love talking about it, and especially answering questions and helping others understand it. So I thought making an autism studio to promote acceptance, education, and understanding and anti-ableism would be perfect for me. And honestly, it's been a lot of fun. My favorite project right now would be my I Am Autism project. It's my version of a commercial made by Autism Speaks in 2009, which basically focused on making autism seem like a tragedy or some kind of monster that's trying to possess your children. But in my actually autistic version of the transcript, I took each line and tried to make it accurate from an autistic perspective rather than from a neurotypical perspective like the original. I didn't make it entirely positive either because that's not realistic. All I did was make it true information and a balance of positive and negative things. So the project really shows that autism isn't bad, it just is. It's just a thing that exists with good and bad parts. I just really love that project because of everything it stands for. I think the thing I'm most proud of is the little community I was able to get in the studio. There's so many other autistic people who help me answer questions and handle everything when I'm offline, and there's just so much support from everyone, and they're such just great people. And I think the reach of the studio has also been super good. There are plenty of allistic or non-autistic people in it as well who are willing to listen and learn about autism from us, and they really try to understand experiences that they don't personally have. I appreciate all the autistics and allies in the studio, and they've been such great friends. So I'm just really excited about getting to educate so many different people about autism and help spread acceptance on Scratch.
So inspiring. Thank you to Pink's Monkey and everyone who contributed to this amazing Scratch studio.
And now we'll hand it over to our Scratch colleague. Take it away, Tracy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Tang from the Scratch Foundation. I'm the Outreach and Engagement Manager, and I also support the localization work of Scratch. To support kids around the world to use Scratch in their own languages, we have been working on the localization of Scratch since the very beginning. Since the launch of Scratch 3.0 in 2019, we've grown from 15 languages to now 74 languages. The number of languages on Scratch Jr. is also growing, and it is now available in 22 languages. All of this is made possible by over 1,000 volunteer translators from around the world. Many of them are educators and Scratch parents in their local communities. So let's hear from a few volunteer translators and see why they wanted to translate Scratch into their languages in the first place. First of all, let's hear from Kirsten, a teacher based in Denmark. She's a longtime volunteer translator and has helped with both Scratch and ScratchJr translations.
My name is Kirsten Dam Petersen, and I translate mostly Scratch for the Danish language. I'm not quite sure if it is 9 or 10 years ago that I started translating Scratch. And I'm glad to say that now we have a good team of translators, so I don't have to do all the work by myself. When I got to use Scratch, I found out that some of the words were maybe not the best words when kids have to learn or should learn to program, because some of the words were adult words that was used in the translation. I think it's so important that kids learn to use Scratch in a way where they can really understand what is going on, instead of we use a lot of special terms that they do not understand, and they can always learn them later. When Scratch is translated into the native language, it's much more easy for the kids to understand what's behind coding. In Denmark, we talk a lot about that programming is applied math and how important it is to be able to understand technology, especially when you talk about science. Scratch is also a good example of applied reading, because you have this text on all the blocks. And when children read the text, they see it in action. So it's just as much applied reading as it is applied math. But I would just say a lot of people have this idea that they should be experts when they do this, and they don't. I'm not a programmer, not at all. I just love Scratch. That's the main reason why I do this and still keeps doing it, because I see that Scratch has this impact on kids who maybe in the beginning thinks that's nothing for them and it's too hard and they do not know, especially girls, thinks, oh, programming is not for me. But when they have tried it themselves and have seen some of the possibilities you can do with Scratch and see that, it's not that hard, they get a new tool, and it's like a whole new world that opens up for them and on how to express themselves.
Now let's hear from Nasir, who is based in Bangladesh. Last year, he mobilized a community of translators to translate Scratch into Bengali.
My name is Nasir Khan Shrikot. Professionally, I'm a software engineer. I'm involved in contributing open source projects in a number of ways for maybe around 20 years. I'm working as a volunteer with another organization named Bangladesh Open Source Network. I am not the only one who is translating this project. We organized maybe around 15 people. We have initiated a project to localize the Scratch desktop version and the other related website part in Bengali language. And also we arrange some workshops to the teachers and the students also to introduce Scratch. English and Bengali sentence structure is different. So we have to think that way also. For example, translating a button, so it might have space of showing one word, but in our language, it may take 2 or 3 words to express that meaning. Last month, we had a 3-day-long workshop for the teachers, and they came from different districts and different type of primary schools across the country. There were 25 teachers. Some of them are science teachers, some of them are math teacher and English teacher of that particular school, but all of them are responsible for teaching this course. Everyone appreciated being translated, because again, the students in class 3 or 5 or 4, they are not comfortable using a tool in English version. So they are English. If anyone sees the text in Bengali, they feel more welcoming, and after that they will try to check the other features, other options.
Finally, let's hear from Abdurrahman, who helped translate Scratch into Arabic. And he actually also helped organize the Scratch translation community in the past.
I'm Abdurrahman Libi. I'm originally from Syria. I live now in Istanbul, Turkey. I translate Scratch to Arabic. So I started using Scratch back in 2007. That was in the context of preparing for a computer science competition I was running for children back in Syria. I wanted something to attract kids to coding and algorithms and all of that. So I looked for something I can use to start. I found Scratch. It was Scratch 1.2 then. It was available in 18 languages. Arabic wasn't one of them. And actually there was still no support for languages with non-Latin alphabet. When I started translating Scratch, it felt just like the natural thing to do, actually. I didn't think much about like the reasons or like the philosophy or anything like that. When people actually started like raising questions, why should we like be using like Scratch in Arabic, why not English, all of that. And from there, actually, I started like relating to the experiences I've been having with the children. I've been like relating to issues like related to fluency, related to equity in access to Scratch and using it in creative learning. One thing I feel that's very important about translating Scratch is that the language we're using when we're teaching kids like how to create and build has a great reflection or impact on their identity. So for kids here, when we're using Scratch with English, we're sending them a message that's saying, you know what, to be creative, to know things, you should learn this language. But your language, Arabic in this case, is kind of like inferior. So this affects really how they look at, the language, at the culture and themselves, and they try, to look like someone else, someone from a different country, different culture. In a few months, starting like using the Arabic Scratch, we could have younger kids, something like 8 or 9 years old. We could have kids like coming from more diverse backgrounds, kids coming from public schools. We could see like the kids using Scratch more fluently. And they were like talking about using Scratch, the knowledge they've been building and their experiences, talking about it like more fluently with their friends, with their mentors, with their families.
It's been inspirational to hear all the stories shared by the translators. We want to say a massive thank you to all the volunteer translators around the world for contributing your time and efforts to make Scratch available in so many languages and for so many kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I love seeing you today. And now I'm super excited to have some fun in our sessions. So before we go, I'd like to talk about agenda and how to connect. So here in SwapCard, if you go to the conference homepage, you see the agenda, the speakers, and many other information. So please go there to find sessions and join the ones you'd like. During all times, participate via chat. And all Create and Connect sessions will be streamed live and also recorded for later viewing. So Francisco, how do we find and join these sessions?
And so my first tip is in the agenda section. You'll notice that some of the session graphics have a little ScratchJr bubble icon at the top. Use this to identify a session that includes a discussion on early childhood development. If you did not subscribe to a session, it's okay. You can still join any session. Up next, you have the opportunity to join a Say Hello to the Scratch Team social session. We have 2 rooms in English, 1 in Spanish, and 1 in Portuguese. During these sessions, chat with a member of the Scratch global family. Again, throughout today's sessions, you use the chat to connect with others, and if you want to share your favorite moments or quotes on social media, use the hashtag #ScratchConference. If you need a short demo of SwapCard or have technical questions, visit the help desk to talk to a team member so we can help. And it's almost time for Scratch Camp. And we got a lot of questions in the chat about Scratch Camp. And yes, you're invited. The theme for this camp year is a surprise, but it officially starts August 1st. Tip, you can check out last year's Scratch Camp 2021 to get a little bit more sense of what it will be. It will run for 3 weeks. And each week will bring opportunities to create projects around a particular theme. It is free. Anyone can join by participating in the camp studios. So some of the questions is, how do I participate? You can participate by making projects for Scratch Camp Studios. Each week of camp, there will be a new Scratch Camp Studio on the home page. It's a very front home page, scratch.mit.edu. You can also comment in the camp studios and other people's projects. You should give them some love, remix. It's up to you.
Yes, and we are also having some questions about the videos because many of you can't stay for the whole day with us. So don't worry about that. All the sessions are being recorded, and in about a week or so, they will be uploaded to this very main platform, the SwapCard, so you can access them later. Thanks for joining us this morning, and please remind yourselves to be back here to join us at 3:25 p.m. for the closing session. So that's it. Let's live it up. Let's have fun, everyone. Scratch on!